November 5th, voters in Emmetsburg, Iowa will decide the fate of a $29.75 million general obligation bond that would help build a brand new elementary school. As
KTIV's Ellen Ide explains tonight, the existing elementary school is nearly 70 years old and not made for a modern education.
The majority of the bond referendum is to increase a lot of the safety features that we currently don't have.
West Elementary School in Emmetsburg is home to 308 students. The district wants to provide each and every one of those students with a quality education, but school officials believe the building is holding them back. They say the school needs a mechanical retrofit to improve ventilation and air conditioning. The school also needs updates to the safety system, fire alarms, and camera system, plus parking lot and drainage improvements and updates to classrooms.
And then we just have a lot of structural features of the building itself that if we wanted to, we could fix at the building. However, at the end of the day, you're putting a lot of money into a building that's already 70 years old. So the committee and the school board have both decided that the best use of district finances moving forward would be to build on a new site.
Repairs to the current building would cost more than $6 million and wouldn't offer a solution to the school's lack of space. The proposed solution comes in the form of a 65,000 square foot elementary school on a new site that would be home to pre-K through 4th grade students. That project comes with a $29.75 million price tag.
It's going to be roughly about a $2.54 increase per $1,000 of assessed value. And that's kind of down from what we originally had planned.
The current levy rate is $12.26 per $1,000 of taxable property value, which is below the state average of $13.84. It's well below the high of $19.25.
The building that we have right now has served its purpose. It's done great for 70 years. The problem is the advances in education have also advanced. And so what we used to teach 70 years ago and just sitting in classrooms and stuff is not the norm anymore. And that's really what we're trying to do, is provide a better opportunity for these students that we have.
In Emmetsburg, Iowa, Ellen Ide, KTIV News 4.
If the bond referendum passes in November, a second vote will be required to raise the debt levy. That vote would take place in March.